A spiritual awakening is characterized by a group of symptoms that signal the development of a higher awareness. This is by no means an exhaustive list, but you will find many of these relatable to your path. 1. You feel out of place. The first sign that you are experiencing a spiritual awakening is the general sense of being out of place. You might not be able to put your finger on why, but you just know deeper down that you're not fitting in the way you used to. 2. You feel lonely, lost. Naturally, after noticing this out of place feeling, it's common to feel especially isolated or alienated. The conversations people around you are having no longer interest you the way they did. What you do day to day doesn't inspire as much motivation. 3. You are questioning your identity. This is where you begin to ask the big questions. Who am I? What am I? Why am I here? Spiritual awakening highlights the contrast between our ego self and our higher self, and how much of our identity has been formed around the ego. 4. You're reevaluating your beliefs. To take the spiritual path requires a lot of reflection on our belief systems. Whether we were raised religious and have conflict there, or were more so in an atheist mindset, where anything that wasn't backed by science or physical evidence isn't worth exploring. 5. You have different priorities. Naturally, upon questioning your identity, belief systems and daily activities, your priorities start to shift. The old patterns that you were comfortable with before no longer feel as important or have as much of a grip over you. 6. Experiencing synchroncities. Synchroncities are events that at first seem unrelated but later appear to have some interconnected meaning. For example, thinking of someone you haven't seen in years and suddenly receiving a phone call from them out of the blue. Synchronicities are a practical demonstration of how thought/energy corresponds with our environment. We naturally start to pick up on the synchroncities we were missing before, and begin experiencing more synchronicity as a result of this deeper interconnection. 7. You feel more connected to your body. A common sign of awakening that is often missed is that you feel more connected to your body. You begin to feel energy flowing through the body, or notice that your body is not performing the way you want it to/it used to. When we become more aware of our spirit, we also become more aware of our physical body, as this is the anchoring point for our consciousness here on earth. We have to bring both the physical and spiritual into alignment for true balance. 8. You feel more intuitive. In tuning into our body, our intuition also increases. During a spiritual awakening, we become more aware of our habitual thought patterns and start to go beyond them. In observing how our thoughts tend to play out unconsciously, we can identify when our thoughts have a finer quality to them, the voice of our higher self. In turning inwards, we have clearer access to our internal guidance rather than being primarily led by outside influences. 9. You feel more sensitive or triggered. During an awakening, it's common to experience a period where you are constantly triggered. You become much more sensitive to everything all at once. This can be overwhelming at first and you might think you are doing something wrong. However, this is just a sign that your awareness is increasing. By being more aware of our triggers, disproportionate emotional responses, we can better work with and integrate them. 10. You feel deeper joy, peace. Spiritual awakening also brings about a much deeper sense of joy and peace. We experience lower lows but also higher highs. Often during a spiritual awakening we experience deep joy because that is an emotion we have been repressing for so long. We might not feel worthy of joy or feel guilty if we express it. An awakening peels back all of these layers of pretense, and makes us aware of both the deep dark and bright light that is already within us. 11. You practice more acceptance. Acceptance is one of the key virtues on the spiritual path. To accept where you are, what you've done, and where you are going. When we think of a spiritual being or spiritual person, the image we have in mind is someone who is wise and all-knowing. However, a large part of the spiritual path is accepting just how little we know. And with this acceptance of our ignorance comes deeper levels of peace and trust. 12. Your psychic senses are activating. You'll likely experience an activation of your psychic senses, alongside heightened physical senses. If you are a visual person, you'll likely experience an increase in clairvoyance. If you are a music-oriented person, you'll likely experience a heightened sense of hearing. 13. Your dreams are particularly vivid. The more we increase our spiritual awareness in waking life, the more vivid and surreal our dreams at night become. For me, dreams were what prompted my spiritual awakening. Within dreams we have access to a level of consciousness which isn't available in normal everyday life or during deep sleep. It's not uncommon for spontaneous lucid dreams or out-of-body experiences to encourage a spiritual awakening that encompasses both our awake and sleep states. We might experience precognitive dreams, experience a dream that has an otherworldly or transcendental quality to it. We might seem to come into contact with some other intelligence within a dream, like spirit guides, angels, or ascended masters. 14. You're becoming aware of your shadow. As we've explored, spiritual awakenings aren't all butterflies and rainbows. They aren't always blissful and joyous. Sometimes, but not always, a spiritual awakening is brought on by reaching the lowest low we've ever experienced, and having to resource strength we didn't know we had access to. We will be drawn to inner exploration and getting to know ourselves on a deeper level. Old wounds might come up to the surface. There is a purge of sorts that goes on. We might become interested in shadow or inner child work. 15. Your relationships are shifting. Our relationships naturally shift as we go through an awakening. We crave deeper meaning in all facets of our life. We might realize that our current relationships aren't as meaningful as we thought. We will be drawn towards people with more awareness and varied interests. 16. You'll feel compelled to shift your lifestyle diet. With an increase in awareness, we naturally start to become more conscious of what we are putting into our bodies and how it affects us. We'll certainly want to adopt a healthier lifestyle, move more, get interested in nutrition. We might consider a raw food or vegan diet. There is a lot of debate about what constitutes the perfect spiritual diet. While there are many differing viewpoints, we definitely want to take more care with our diet and lifestyle. Eating less meat, moving more, and consuming less unhealthy substances all come as a natural result of this increased awareness, whether or not this eventually aligns with a specific type of diet/lifestyle. 17. You feel deeply connected to everything. A key tenet of an awakening is experiencing oneness, this sense that we are not entirely separate from other people, living beings, even inanimate objects. Everything has an undercurrent of energy that came from one source that we can tune into and viscerally experience. 18. You want to be of service to others. One of the key phases after a spiritual awakening is that you want to be of service to others, in a larger way than before. Often this means wanting to spread spiritual knowledge/wisdom or help others in some other spiritual context. It's easy to get caught up at this phase because it can seem like the only way to help would be to completely change our day-to-day lives around. To acquire more income and have more time to devote to spiritual studies. However, we can be of service to others wherever we are. As parents, friends, as a worker in a store, as strangers. Spirit doesn't limit how deeply we can impact others based on our location, occupation, or setting. Anything we do, however mundane, can be imbued with spiritual energy.